Okay, this video, the purpose of this video or this handout, Understanding Code, is being able to follow the landmarks that are in the code, being able to recognize them and know what to do when you see them. And so this is I think this is important, and this kind of thing has helped other students in the past as far as tracing code. So the thing to remember when you're tracing code and you're trying to follow it as if you're the compiler, is that the general rule, the default, I guess the default mode would be to always go to the next line down like you're reading a book. So when you're reading a book, you don't skip your lines. When you're done with one line, you go to the next line down, the next sentence or whatever. Now, the exception, of course, is going to be at the landmarks. The landmarks are like a fork in the road, and you have to know which fork to take. And so we've already dealt with this kind of thing when you came to loops, because with loops you had times where you were at the end of the loop, and so you went back up to while. So that's kind of weird. You're not going to the next line down. If-else structures. If the Boolean expression for the if branch is true, you execute the if branch and then you skip the else else branch. So you have those kind of things that go against the default, which is just go to the next line down and don't skip. But in this case, now we're adding some different landmarks, and that's what we're going to go through here. And so this is kind of a review, but we're adding sayings that will hopefully help you with your tracing code. The tracing code will help you to write programs and will help you to debug your programs when things don't seem to be going right. The very first landmark, that's what the LM stands for, is the main method header. And just the thing to remember here is that it starts the program automatically, and so when you click on run, the compiler goes to the main method. So it doesn't matter what order all your methods are in, it always goes to that main method and starts the program. The next thing is, now this is something from chapter 2, but some students are still struggling with this. And so the thing that you need to write down here is, let me get this straight here, is that this, whenever you see a data type, and some of you need to write this down, others don't, but whenever you see a data type and a variable, then the compiler recognizes that. Sorry about this bad writing here. A data type and a variable, then the compiler is going to do something. This is something that we need to remember. What it does, it reserves in this case, the num1 memory location. And it's good to use abbreviations if you know what they mean. But it reserves the memory location named N1 or num1. And so you illustrate that with a box or an underline. It doesn't have to be a box, but you have num1 in your computer memory. This is just the illustration of it. And then this is where you're set to trace or to track your memory location. This one in this case would be num1. This is the same as the declaration in num2 as number 2, except it stores a 6. And so this will reserve a memory location named num2, and oh man, I cannot write with this, num2, and it will store a 6 because of the assignment operator. That means to store data in a memory location. All right, these are things that you've got to know is going on, otherwise you really can't trace your code accurately. The next thing is that is this, and this is when you see when you see a parentheses and a name in front of it, what you have, we need to first of all be able to identify it. So the first thing is that this is a, we'll say this is a method call, I mean. Okay, the method call. And remember that what it does, so, you know, this is the kind of the pattern we'll go, is this is called a method call, and it does what? And so this, what this does is executes the compute method. Or you could say it executes the called method if you want. Okay, so whatever method is being called, it executes it. So it naturally is going to go to that method header. So here's the saying. So this is the thing I'm trying to get you to do, is that when you come to this, and it's good sometimes to talk out loud when you're tracing code, when you're struggling with this. So if you're struggling with this and you come to a method call, okay, you go, okay, this is executing the called method from method call to method header. That is the saying. Maybe you think of something better, but it's kind of like from head to toe. Okay, so from method call to method header, or from C to shining C, from method call to method header, is kind of the idea that you say that out loud, and that tells you where to go in your code. So if we go back to 5B, we go from method call to method header. And that's how we remember that. So anyways, as we go on here, so this is, we'll just kind of make this be red. And so then we go to, now all of these at first, so this is going to be a bunch of method calls that are kind of different. So we have some repetitive stuff going on, but this is called, let's do a little format painter. Okay, so this is called a method call, all right? It does what? It executes the calculate method. Okay, we already have those kind of things here, but there's something else it does. So it's the same as number 4, except the plus, we should say, plus it passes the argument to the method header. All right, so if you don't know that's an argument, you got to write this down on this paper. Okay, really, you got to learn this. You have to know this. So it passes the argument to the method header. So it's a method call. It executes the called method. So it executes calculate, and they're saying is from method call to method header, but the additional thing is that it passes the argument to the method header. And so that's something you need to memorize, very, very important. Okay, then we go on to the next line. Okay, let's see if we can get this to work. All right, so this also is has a method call in it. Now the line isn't a method call, but it okay, this is going to be difficult here. I should have done this differently, but that's okay. Okay, first of all, what we see is a data type and a variable. Okay, so we already seen that. So even though now this looks different, but it's still the same as that and same as this. All right, it's the same thing. So this is going to reserve reserve the memory location for the variable. Maybe that's what I should have said up there, is that it reserves memory location for the variable. Okay, so that would be the probably a better thing to do. Reserves memory location for the variable. Okay, so this keeps it more general, and it can be applied to any situation where you see that. So this is going to, let's see if I can get this to set up right. Type in variable. There we go. All right, so then this part right here, this is the right here. Oh, come on, please just work. Here we go. Thank you. Okay, so here we are. This right here is the method call. All right, so now this is going to be the same thing as above, where we talked about a method call. What does a method call do? So in this case, we're just going to kind of double. There we go. So what this is going to do is this is a method call, executes method. And so it's from method call to method header, which you don't have to write this down, or you can just draw arrows or something, but you got to remember this is a method call. So when you see a method call, it executes the method, it goes from method call to method header, and if it's got arguments, then it passes, in this case, it's going to pass 2 arguments, passes both arguments to method header. All right, that's the only thing that's different here. All right, so that's the idea there. And then we go over here. Now we're dealing. These are all landmarks. The main landmark here is called. So the first landmark was that. Let me see. Can I get rid of these? Yeah, I'll get rid of these. Okay, the main landmark here. First one is the main method, which starts the program automatically. The second second landmark would be the method call, which executes the method, and it goes. The same is from method call to method header. The only thing that we added is that it might pass an argument to the main to the method header. Okay, so now we're dealing with another landmark. So when you see a method call, you go, okay, from method call to method header. Now you go to the method header. And so then the method header, this is your landmark. This is where you're landing from the method call. So all you got to do here, this is just a method header or declaration. Okay, but now let's go on to another one. So this is still the method call, the method header or the method declaration. And so now what does the compiler do here? This is going to be important. What you see again is the data type and the variable. So this is the same exact thing as data type variable. Data, now I can't see up there, but the data type and variable in the other ones up there. And so it does the exact same thing. And so what this does is this reserves a memory location. So illustrate it. This is a good thing to illustrate, called num. Oh boy, let me see. This is not working out. Let's go num. Okay, so in this line here, what I would put here is that it reserves memory location for parameter variable. Okay, but that's not all it does. Okay, it does one more thing. So let's see here. Let's get this. Wow, I am not doing well. Okay, it reserves a memory location for the parameter variable. The next thing that you need to know that it does is it reserves, no, it doesn't reserve, it receives the argument passed from the method call. All right, so that's two things it does. So you see the data type and variable, you go, okay, it's reserving a memory location for the parameter variable because the parameter variable is in the header, the parentheses of the method header. It receives the argument being passed from the method call. All right, so in this case, because of what we're illustrating here, it is, we had what, calculate. And so calculate here, in this case, it's passing the 12 to the parameter variable called num. So now 12 is in there. So this is something that you should be able to see and recognize and memorize. This is not that difficult to memorize. I think you can do it. All right, let's go on to, let's get that, remove that. Let's see, method header. Let's go to this. All right, so we have now we have the prod. So you have the here's up here was the prod method call. Here's the prod method header. And so really here the only thing that's different. Okay, we know it's a method header of declaration. Number one. Then we know that it's going to reserve memory locations for num and amount. So you could illustrate this by going num and amount. Why do I do this? Okay, num, there we go. And then we have amount. So another way to illustrate it is just underline it. I don't care. Either way. And because it has a return value, you got to have a double instead of a void. But the key idea is it reserves two memory locations to receive the 4 and in this case and both arguments, we'll say. And so the 4 goes into the first one. So this is the first argument goes to the first parameter variable. The second argument goes to the second parameter variable. So there we go. And so there you go. Wow, that's a square, but it's supposed to be a circle. I know. All right. 0, I mean. And so there we go. That's what happens here. So you don't have to write all those things unless you'd like to. So once again, what it does, just to recap on that one, is it reserves a memory location for num, reserves a memory location for amount. Should be able to see that because of the data type and the variable. When you have a parameter variables, then the other thing that's going to happen is they're going to receive the arguments from the method call. Okay, this is something, again, that's easy to memorize, and this is our illustration of it. That's the key thing. All right, let's move on. Down here, this is, this landmark was the method header. These are all method headers. So that's that. All right, that's the idea there. We had the main method. We had the method call. From method call to method header. Here's the method header, is where you land. All these are where you land from the method call. And now we have one more thing. When is sometimes you have, when you have a method, you have another landmark. So this landmark here is going to be the end of the method. So we're going to go, let's get this going. So this landmark is end of method. That's the name of it. Okay, this landmark is called end of method. And the saying is end of, the saying is end of method, return to method call. All right, so for a method call, you have, or I guess let's go back again. Main method starts the program automatically. method call, from method call to method header. Method headers here are the landing places. And then when you get to the end of the method, that's another landmark. The saying is end of method, return to method call. All right, so, and that's now the only thing different here, and I'll go to the next one. The other landmark here is the same landmark, end of method, but the saying kind of changes. It says end of method, return to method call. Take the return value with you. Okay, so return, end of method, return to method call. Take the return value with you. So whatever the return value of some var is, which is a variable call, you take that with you to that method call. Because what are you going to do with that method call? You're going to go to the method call, which is prod in this case, and it's going to be prod, right? So let's see here. Where is it? Whoops. Okay, what did I do with it? Oh, here we are. And so what it's going to do with it is it's going to put the return value right here. And then what happens with the return value, it gets stored in that variable. That's all there is to it. So anyways, let's go down to the next one. So we have end of method, return to method call, take the return value with you. And then the final landmark is this one. And this is another one where when you get here, you go, you shouldn't be saying, oh, I don't know what to do. What you do is you basically, this is end, this landmark is end of main. Okay, that's the landmark. And the saying is this. End of main, end of method. No, I'm sorry, end of program, sorry. There you go. That's it. You're done with the program. All right, so I hope this helps, and we will see if this does, and we'll go on from here. Thank you.